Hello and welcome back to the channel, and today you find me out visiting one of the oldest pubs in England and also one of the most haunted pubs in England. Today we are visiting the Lamb Inn in Eastbourne, Old Town, and this is the oldest pub in Eastbourne. Has been pipped to the oldest pub in Sussex by the Mermaid in Rye, just along the road, but this pub and its foundations were laid in 1180. The pub is right next to St Mary's Church in Old Town Eastbourne, and supposedly there is a tunnel that links St Mary's to the pub, and the reason for this is that there's a crypt underneath the pub, and so the crypt would have been a place where they would have been storing dead bodies. No longer used for that. It's where they actually store the beer. There's also supposed to be a tunnel that links this pub with the oldest property in Eastbourne, Pilgrim's House. But more on that later in the video. I've come to visit this pub on a Wednesday night. I checked on Google Maps and it tells you which days are busier and which ones are quieter. Wednesday evenings seem to be the quietest of them all, but it's quite busy actually as arrived, so we're going to wait for the pub to thin out a little bit and then we're going to have an explore. Whilst waiting, I decided to have some dinner there. Have to say, 5-star service, 5-star food. Whilst I was eating, I put a cat ball on the table because this is a haunted pub. So supposedly ghosts like to interact with things, and if one of them came nearby, it might trigger the motion sensor on the cat ball. So things would have looked very different when this pub had first started. The basement was actually on the ground floor when this pub was opened, and here we see the door into the pub, and we're going to have a look at that in a minute on the inside. But this was ground level, and this would have been the entrance into the pub, and it's a few short steps down to the crypt behind. This pub is located on the main downward pathway, and this path would have taken people from Brighton along the coast towards Hastings, and this would have been the only pub when it was built, so people would have come trundling over Beachy Head, and this would have been their first stop. This pub is supposedly haunted by 6 ghosts. So we have a tall man that's located in the dining room. He supposedly taps people on the shoulder. Also in the other part of the bar to the north, there's a little alcove next to the fireplace, and the grey lady is supposed to be seen in that area. Legend is that people get up to go to the toilet, and when they come back to their seat, they find a lady sitting in their seat. I didn't see the grey lady on this visit. Popular in the day when this inn was opened, the upstairs was the local brothel. Ghosts of 2 prostitutes are supposed to walk the corridors and stand over people's beds. Also the ghost of a small boy, supposed to be seen right in the top part of the building. The last one is that there's supposed to be a white lady that haunts the tunnel between St Mary's and the Lamb Inn. The staff in the Lamb Inn are extremely friendly, and if you pre-book it, you can ask for a tour of the cellar and the crypt. So that's what we did on this visit, and let's head on down and have a look at the original part of the pub. So originally this part of the pub would have been at street level. Obviously as time goes on, the street gets higher and higher, and this has now become the basement of the pub. As you can see, there's cut stones that make up the buildings, a much more traditional form of building. We're going to head down here to what is where the tunnel ends up in the pub. Over there in the corner we've got what looks like a tunnel, potentially a smuggler's tunnel, over to St Mary's and to Pilgrim's House. It's all blocked up these days, and the local historians actually don't believe it was a tunnel and say it was a cesspit. But without actually sort of doing any archaeology, I don't think we'll ever really know. Next we're going to head up. This would have been the front of the building, window on the right hand side, and to the right now we've got the main entrance to the pub. This door ahead of us is the crypt, and over to the left is the old original staircase that would have taken you from the ground floor to the first floor of the pub. Here we enter the crypt. The crypt basically would have been a place that bodies would have been stored in as the original building on this location for St Mary's. Lovely bit of architecture, amazing ceiling rows. Over here we can see an opening into the crypt, and people have speculated this is where bodies would have been passed through into the crypt originally. Not sure whether that is the case or it's a later addition. There's a little shrine here cut out in the wall there, so you'd have had the cross there. Not sure about that location. Could be a hiding place for the priests. The Catholics were persecuted by the Protestants historically. After visiting the cellar, we decided to explore a little bit more of this historic building. Went upstairs and had a look at the staircase. Didn't document it, but I also went into the upstairs toilet, which was a little bit spooky. Flashing lights going on there and some creaking noises in the background, but nothing I could have pinned down to a ghost. So next we headed down to the toilet area to have a look at a long shaft. So this pub features a 18 metre or 59 foot well at the back of the pub, and they've illuminated it so that you can actually see the interior of it. So across the road from the Lamb we have got Pilgrim's House, and Charles Dickens visited Pilgrim's House and was supposed to have put a show on at the Lamb Inn. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you could take a moment to subscribe to the channel and have a look through some of my other videos, some of those may interest you, and a like would also help with the algorithm knowing that you like this type of content, and you'll get similar content to this suggested by YouTube. Thank you very much for watching.